This is Jeff with Network Fitness, and I'm here to show you some ways to make the rollers, these rollers, maybe a little bit less uncomfortable whenever you use them. A lot of you have been getting these rumble rollers and using them the past few months, about a year or so. Some of you use the blue, you find that pretty intense. Some of you use the black and you find it too intense to be able to relax on. You go back to using the smooth rollers like the Quad Baller from Trigger Point Technologies or the Grid from Trigger Point Technologies. Either one of these are good products. One of the things you will notice is that these products being smooth, they don't get in quite as deep as these rumble rollers do. Now, one way to make these a little more tolerable is to do something that's fairly new. It's kind of a new twist on an old idea. Is you take a compression strap. We got these 4 straps here. There's a yellow, a green, an orange, and a black. We're going to demonstrate how to use the orange. You can see that on the screen rather well. These straps are basically rubber. They're at different tension levels, so each one has a specific amount of resistance. The yellow is the lightest, the green is the next light, the black is about moderate, and then the orange is the heaviest resistance. With the orange, it can be a little too thick, a little too much resistance for some people. So when you use the right resistance level for you, the idea behind this is we're trying to increase circulation and function through an area, such as your leg, your arm, or whatever. We compress the tissue, we take it through range of motion, and then we take the strap off and it lets blood flow through there again, basically bathing the area in oxygen and fresh blood. Helps it relax quite a bit, and it makes these a whole lot more tolerable, a lot less painful too. So when you're using these straps, these are very specifically made resistance straps. You can use just about any old rubber strap, as you may have seen online, but these are very resistant, very specific resistance levels. You want to keep the strap fairly flat as you wrap it around. You don't want to just wrap it randomly around your leg or your arm, and you never want to wrap it around your neck, for obvious reasons. But for a starting point, you want to wrap this at a comfortable level of tension around your leg. You don't necessarily want to put it super tight, because you don't want it to be so painful you can't tolerate it. You can cause damage to your tissues if you put it too tight, but the typical rule of thumb is about 25 to 75%, not quite full 100% stretch, but enough to where you feel it getting in on those tissues, but not so much that you can't stand it. If you're doing this to yourself and you don't have a bodyworks background, you're not a massage therapist, not a physical therapist, and so on, you really do want to experiment with how much tension you put here. Start easy and gradually work your way up to more resistance. Keep it to about a 4 to 6 inch range of wrapping your leg, whether it's your leg, your arm, whatever. Don't wrap your entire leg like a mummy. Also, don't wrap it around itself, only one width. Go about 50%, maybe 75% off of the strap, wrap it around itself. Once you're done wrapping as far as you can, you tuck it back in, and for the most part, you do not want to leave this on for more than 2 minutes. Main reason for that is that the blood vessels down below, the capillaries, the veins, they're not allowed to get blood out of that area as easily with this compression here. Also, the arteries that are feeding blood down your leg can't get blood flow down very well as well. The tighter you put this, the more you restrict blood flow down, but you definitely restrict blood flow coming back. So all the arteries, all the veins, and the blood vessels down here can build up too much pressure to where they actually can break. They can rupture, you get little spider veins, things like that. We don't want to do that. The longer you leave it on, the more risk there is of that. You go through a series of range of motion movements, whether it's squats, whether it's lunges, step-ups, whatever it is that feels normal and natural to you. But you want to do a series of range of motion movements that make sense. For the most part, you don't want to jump. You don't want to do quick motions to the side either. It really put a lot of stretch on the tissues inside. If you put this strap really seriously tight, it's not going to allow your tissues to stretch very well. That can be good and can be bad. It squeezes the muscles like crazy, makes them move through a smaller space, and breaks up some of the fascial adhesions you have in there, which is good. If your nerves are pinched and you pull on them real tight, you can actually stretch or tear nerves inside, and that can permanently damage an area here. So you want to be mindful of how much movement you do. Jumping up and down is probably not a good idea. The tighter you put this, the less movement you're going to feel comfortable doing. If you're on pain relievers of any sort, if you're on something that numbs the area, you don't want to use this, because if you can't feel pain, that's a very bad idea to put this on here. Your pain response should tell you when it's time to take it off. Between 30 seconds and 2 minutes, your leg, your arm, wherever you put this strap, it's probably going to tell you, okay, I'm done. It's time to take this thing off, because it just starts hurting more than it feels good. When you take it off, you should feel a rather unique sensation, kind of like a waterfall of blood flow through that area. Afterwards, you'll probably notice that as you go down and squat, or as you move that limb, whether it's your arm, whether it's your elbow, whether it's your knee, that those areas move much easier. And that's the whole point. We're trying to get more blood flow, more circulation, more oxygen to the area so that area actually breathes better. Now, in addition to wrapping above or below a joint, you can also wrap across the joint, but I would strongly recommend that you don't wrap around the kneecap itself or around the elbow itself. You should wrap above and below and cross that joint in an X pattern. If you're doing this to yourself, there's a chance you could do it wrong, especially if you don't have the background of knowing what exactly you're doing. If you have someone doing it to you and they have a very knowledgeable background, then they're the coach, they're the therapist, they're the one doing it to you. So you can, as you just noticed, I wrapped here, now I'm going to wrap here again. You can do this right after wrapping for a minute or two. You take it off, put it right back on. That's fine as long as you're paying attention to your body's response. Now I'm wrapping here below the knee. I come up across the back of the knee in kind of an X pattern. I go around the quads, and then I go back across the knee in an opposite pattern, and then I tuck this in down below. Now you can tuck this in above or below, whatever feels right. The tighter you wrap it, the more it's going to hold the back of your knee shut. So when you stand and you straighten that knee, it really pulls on those tissues. Again, mind your pain response, but this can help you with tightness in the back of the knee, tightness on either side of the knee. Be aware of how your kneecap feels as you do this. If it's feeling funky, take it off, adjust it, redo it. If you're wrapping around your leg, clockwise or counterclockwise, it does make a difference how it pulls on these tissues. So be very mindful of exactly how you're wrapping. But the idea is I wrapped around my calf and then went up across the back of the knee, around my thigh, back across the calf. You could start at the thigh, work your way down. Either one's okay, but I like leaving the knee exposed here. You stand, open that knee, close that knee, open that knee, leave it on for 30 seconds to 2 minutes, somewhere in that time frame. Take that off after a limit of 2 minutes or whenever your body says it's time. Your body might tell you within 30 seconds, I gotta take it off. Once you take it off, you get good blood flow through that area. You should notice that it moves better. This will help with things like shin splints, IT band issues, Baker's cyst issues, where it's not actually a cyst, but just really locked up muscles in the back of the knee. All kinds of issues with the lower leg, with the knee joint, with the thighs, quads that just never seem to let go. The deepest of the 4 quads, the vastus intermedius, when you wrap this sucker down and you tighten it down, it really does get to that deeper quad. And then when you come back and you use these rollers with all the bumps on, the rumble rollers, or you use a lacrosse ball, or use some other type of object to dig in, that object you're using is going to be far less painful. So this is one way to make the tissues a little bit more resilient. They respond better. You can use the straps as more of a dynamic warm-up. You use the rollers as more of a passive, relaxing type of a drill to get into those muscles. You do the combination, and it's fantastic. Good luck in your efforts.